Hello, hello. Oh, good, we're live. I have a love-hate relationship with going live via Zoom because there is such a delay over here on Facebook. But we got to figure it out. So if you are on with me right now, give me a comment so I know you're here. Hey, over here on Facebook. Oh, we're playing in two places. Yeah, okay. Give me a comment if you're here with me. I'm gonna pull this up on my phone so I can manage the comments a little bit easier than having multiple screens. Perfect. Pop that little guy right there. Actually, I got this new phone case. Look how cute. Matches my outfit, kind of. It's the little things, guys. It's the little things. Oh no, am I still frozen? Can somebody tell me in the comments if I'm frozen? I'm not frozen on my phone. I'm just a little bit delayed. Yay, it works. Fantastic. Okay. This is my least favorite part of lives while we wait for people to join us, but we're going to make the most of it. So as I literally was pushing live, my neighbor gets his lawnmower out and starts mowing his yard. What are the freaking chances, right? It always has to happen. Like the minute you go to make a phone call or get on live or whatever, it's craziness. So hopefully he's almost done and you guys can't hear him too badly. But I'm super excited for this content calendar challenge. And before I get into the details of what we're going to talk about, I just wanted to chat for a second. As you join me, give me a hi, hello in the comments. Let me know you're here. I'm really excited to be here with you today. And after this tonight, I'm excited because I'm going to go see my mastermind group. I'm in a mastermind of all business owners, women business owners. We meet once a month and we talk about various topics that we're all struggling with or just want to improve on. Sometimes we just kind of show up and have some wine and chat. Hey, Courtney. Courtney knows what I'm talking about because I'm going to see her later. Yeah, so it's really great. If you don't have like this group of people to talk about business with, definitely I encourage you to find that group of people because it is one of the most amazing things that I have ever done. And it's incredible to have people who really truly understand what you're walking through right now to talk to. Mastermind groups are incredible. Hey, Beth, so excited you're here. I'm really excited to go through all this content with you guys. So yes. Has anyone done the iPhone update yet? I'm really curious to know because as a graphic designer, just the thought of being able to customize your home screen and your widgets and your icons and stuff really got me intrigued. So last night I downloaded it and was messing with it. And I gotta say the widgets are really cool. Like being able to have my calendar up larger and it to show me what my upcoming appointments are. Very cool. But I haven't quite gotten the hang of customizing the icons yet. I feel like it's not maybe the perfect system, but I definitely want to like dive more into it this week and see what I can discover when it comes to that, because I can definitely see myself custom designing some icons for my home screen and making them all very OCH branded, which would be really fun. So if you have downloaded it, if you've messed with it, I want to know about it for sure. Let me know. I am laughing as I'm looking at myself because If you guys don't know, this is Loretta on my wall, my little alpaca llama. I'm not really sure which she is, but we named her Loretta in my last call. Beth, I think you named her actually. And I have not forgotten that because I talk to her sometimes while I'm sitting here working. Oh, Chloe, it's breaking your apps. Not cool. And yes, girl, I will make you some custom unicorn house icons. But yeah, I did the messages one and it's weird because you click on it and then it opens a different app and then it opens messages and it doesn't show all my notifications the same way, which I don't really love. So maybe I just haven't really done it right yet. Yes, Julie, I'm with you too. Like, I'm not quite sure. Like, I can recognize a lot of the apps that I have on my home screen, and I'm not quite sure how much customization I really want to do. There was an interesting thread today in a group that I'm in talking about how this is perceived from a designer's standpoint because those UX people worked super hard to make those icons what they are for all of these different companies. And I mean, they making that Facebook blue recognizable and making that icon something that you're going to remember and that you could just click on really without thinking is something that people designers put a lot of work into. So there's kind of a mixed emotion going on a lot of the design community on whether this is a really positive thing or not, whether, it is fun to do, but it kind of does take a little bit away from, all the hard work that these branding designers put into app development and into the design of the app. So it's an interesting conversation for sure. I'm interested to see, what comes from this update and what everybody's thoughts are on it. And I think it's going to be a fun discussion whether it's, pro or con or whatever, it's going to be fun to talk about. Definitely. Okay, so it looks like we have about 7 people on with us. So I'm going to go ahead and get things rolling on the content calendar challenge. Oh, let me check out one more comment here. Oh yeah, Julie, I'm with you too. I don't want to take forever to get to the things that I want to get to. So that it's definitely a different experience. It definitely changed things a lot. Um, yeah, okay. So for a little kickoff, I'm going to throw a link in the comments for you guys here. To download the template that we're going to use for this challenge. I know a lot of you received this already via email and you may already have it downloaded and in your Google Drive and you're good to go. But for others, you may just kind of be joining us because we're doing something live today and may not have access this yet. So as I introduce the challenge, I thought I'd go ahead and throw that link in there where you can access the template and go ahead and get it kind of geared up, ready to talk about for when I get to using it. Just realized I was sitting on my feet. Does anybody else have that habit? I sit on my feet all the time. Okay, so now that you have a link to the template, let's talk a little bit about why are we doing this? Like, why are we having a content calendar challenge? Why is this even a topic that popped into my head one day and I thought I would share it with all of you? I think really the thing here is that with the clients that I work with a lot of the other business owners that I coach, even in my past experiences when I've really tried to get a handle on creating content for my business, right? It kind of always seems to be this hard thing in our lives, right? It's never easy, and no matter how we tackle it, it kind of seems to be this overhanging thing that never goes away, right? We're always having to create content, whether it's for ourselves or for a client. And it does seem to be really hard sometimes. And even though we're actually talking about things that we love, we're actually, promoting our business, which is why we're here, right? We're in business to find customers, which social media content, email newsletters, blogs, that's all a way to find customers. So I've always thought it was really interesting that actually by doing something that we love, which is connecting with customers, kind of seems to be one of the biggest stress points we can find. And it's really difficult to kind of find your own groove when it comes to creating content. And I have reinvented the wheel like a million times when it comes to this. I've read so many books, I've watched so many videos, I've done all the things I can think of, and I will continue to reinvent this. I will continue to redo it and come at it from another angle as many times as I can until I feel good about it. But at the same time, I'm growing as a person. I'm changing up how I do business every day. I'm doing new things constantly, which means probably the way that I attack content creation is gonna be an ever evolving thing forever. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I approach it right now in this stage of my business, but I also wanted to talk about this idea that it's never done. You're always going to be finding a new way of doing it, finding a better way of approaching it. And whether it's changing up your schedule and when you work on content, or even just changing up the system that you put it in. And that's not a bad thing. Like think to yourself for a second, this is a good thing if I change up how I do this often, because this means you're ever evolving as a business and as a business owner. I think that's really exciting. What I'm going to do in this challenge is show you how I currently do it, but know that you can take the parts that work for you and you can leave the rest. Just leave the rest behind and don't even worry about it. Don't beat yourself up if it's not the system for you. If I said something that you're like, this girl's crazy, what is she talking about? It's what works for me. And it's what works for a lot of my clients right now. So if pieces of it doesn't work for you, don't worry. Listen to the videos and take the piece that works for you in the stage of business that you're in right now. No worries about the rest. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why should you plan? Right? And all of you non-planners are probably here, maybe tuning in, gonna watch the replay, and you're thinking, oh, I freaking hate planning, right? I know that's going through somebody's mind right now. And I totally get it. As a creative mind, oh, planning was one of the worst things you could, it was like a curse word that you could say to me several years ago until I found my groove with planning. Once I really figured it out, then I figured out that what it did was when I figured out the planning part, it actually opened doors up for me where I could really be more creative and where I could actually be myself a little bit more when I was crafting this content because I did have a plan to follow. I actually feel very similar about time management because I have a schedule to follow. I'm actually way more creative when I sit down to work on the projects that are on my schedule. Now, because I created it and because I made this plan, right? I also reserve the right to just throw it away when it doesn't work for me. I have some crazy things going on this week, and I was able to completely redo my schedule tomorrow and make other things happen. That's the cool part of being your own boss and making your own way, is that you get to redo the plan anytime you want. And because you made the plan, you get to throw it out the window if it's not serving you anymore. So this idea of planning was something that I struggled with at first, and is something a lot of people are commenting, yep, struggling with a plan, love-hate relationship. I totally get it. But open your mind for just this week and think through what a plan could actually do for you. And I I actually get really into brain science. Somebody's going to be laughing at me for this for sure. But I like to read a lot of books by like neurologist and mind science and I can pop some authors in the comments later, but to talk about how your brain actually takes in information, how it organizes it, and how it puts it back out into the project you're working with or in conversation or whatever the case is, right? And I get super into this stuff. I think it's crazy. But one of the reasons why I think this is so intriguing for this conversation is because I believe that there are 4 stages to content creation. And here's why. There's a planning stage, a writing stage, a design stage, and an implementation stage. Now, could you just pull up Facebook right now, write a post, and pop in a photo or a graphic with it and hit post or schedule? Of course you could. And do I do that? Yes, sometimes I do, especially when inspiration strikes, right? But think about it this way. Your brain actually does each of these stages differently. When you're planning, you're thinking in one manner, right? You're planning these things out, you're perceiving the bigger picture, you're looking at what's manageable for you to handle, you're thinking about how often am I showing up to sell? Did I talk about this stage of my business enough? Did I come in and talk about this thing enough? When you're planning, you're in big picture mode, right? So then when you're writing, you're working with your words, right? You're using those words to really make a point and to get something across. It's usually a bit more narrow focus because you're usually talking about kind of one topic at that point, right? You're working on one thing, one post at a time. You're writing, you're using that creative part of your brain. Now, the other aspect of the creativity when it comes to posts or emails or blogs is what graphic are you going to put with it? What does this look like, right? Even if you don't get crazy into graphic creation like some of us do, and you're pulling a stock photo or a photo from your library and you're putting that with it, which one are you picking? I cannot even tell you how many times I went down a rabbit hole of Pinterest or stock photos or even my own photo library and just gotten lost and looked up and was like, whoa, 30 minutes went by and I still haven't picked the picture that goes with this post. That's craziness, right? So when your mind is in creative design mode, it's working differently, even than writing mode, right? So planning is different than writing, is different than design or picking pictures. Then implementation, let's talk about that for a second. Who gets overwhelmed by all the amount of apps that are out there to plan out your content, to pre-schedule all the things, not to mention like maybe your website overwhelms you and you're posting a blog post. Then you get into like learning MailChimp and automations and when does this send or whatever email system you're using. And it gets crazy overwhelming. Let me tell you, the analytical side of your mind works on that web stuff and works on that, social media platform and planning platform stuff differently than the writing aspect of your mind or the planning aspect of your mind or the design aspect of your mind, which is why through reading all about brain science, I actually taught myself to separate these things out into 4 different stages of content creation. Now, I like to sit down and tackle content creation. So yesterday, I sat down and I wrote 4 emails that are going to go out to my audience and a blog post in around 2.5 hours. Fresh content. I had nothing to work with, right? And that's pretty quick, right? 4 emails and a blog post in 2.5 hours. That's pretty good. We haven't designed them yet, of course, that's going to happen. I have some help for that, thank goodness. But because I had a plan to follow, I was able to sit down yesterday on my day off and get a little bit creative. with what I said in those emails. And it became a fun project for me to work on. It wasn't overwhelming because I already knew the basic direction that I was taking with this, which is what the planning stage does for you, right? So those of everyone who's like, I hate planning, just know that when you start with a plan, you've already tackled half the battle. You're already so far in at that point that you're ready to go. Your writing mind's coming on and you're like, yeah, I can tackle this. I know exactly what I want to say. I could write this post. I could write this email. Then when you go back and you proofread it, you're like, oh, I know what graphic could go with this, or there would be the perfect picture to go with this, right? Then when it comes to implementation, you're just on autopilot. You're like, I got this thing figured out. And you're not mixing up the way your brain does these things all together. You're actually separating them out. So I hope that resonates with somebody, but that's the reason why I actually do planning as its own step, and why I wanted to show it to you so that maybe this would help you too. So, yeah, what are we going to talk about next? I have some notes here. Let's talk a little bit about an overview for the challenge just before we go into the specifics for today. So today we're going to talk about picking your frequency, your post type, and your internal goal. All very important things. Tomorrow, we're going to brainstorm topics, which is very fun. And we're going to jot down some notes for each of those topics that we put on our planning schedule. On Wednesday, we're going to pick a writing style, choose a call to action, and put those things in a category. Then on Thursday, I'm going to talk about how you could actually use the template that I gave you via Google Sheets as a tracker so that you're not just having to plan and then, what do you do with this plan afterwards? You're like printing it out and you don't know what to do with it. So you can actually use this as a tracker to know where you're at and pull in team members for help if that's where you're at right now in your business. You can actually replicate what I'm going to teach you for blogs and social media, any type of content that you need to create. And then on Friday, we're going to talk about authenticity and how important authenticity is in your marketing, how you can actually find that authentic voice. So when you sit down to write, it's not as much of a daunting task, right? Some of us who aren't quite writers are never going to maybe have that naturally, but if we start to find authenticity behind what we're talking about, we really believe in what we're saying, it gets to be a little bit easier. And then I'm going to teach you my favorite method of writing, which I learned from Mr. Ray Edwards in his book, which is the pastor method of writing. So that's a little overview of what we're going to do in the challenge. Today, I want to get into the template. And in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Here we go. Okay, so now you guys should be able to see my screen. And this is the template that I gave you a link to and that you should be able to download. I want to just go over an overview of what this template is. Hopefully you're already kind of familiar with Google Sheets. If you're not, you can just hit download on this and download it to Excel or Numbers if you're on a Mac, or whatever program or system you like to be in. So, but I did this in Google Sheets so that you can collaborate really easily, so that you could look up a how-to video really easily, and hopefully be able to use this as something moving forward if you want to. So if we look at an overview here, down on the tabs, you'll see that I built a key, and then there's 3 other tabs: newsletters, blogs, and social. So you can actually use this template for each of those different categories of your content creation. And I put it all in the same workbook because I think it's really important to look at all of those things together for your business. Now, if you're like, girl, I am just trying to get my head around posting a few times a week to my social media, that's fine. You can use this template to get started there. And when you're ready to add the other things, they're right there for you. Just go ahead and add them in. You don't have to be doing all three, but eventually for your business to really be thriving and bringing in a lot of great leads from the internet, you probably want to be looking at doing all three eventually. So let's talk a little bit about the different things that are on here. And then I'll dive into the first three that we're going to talk about today. So we have a date, a post type, a goal, topic. You have some notes here, a writing style, call to action, that category we talked about, status, which is used for a tracker, and then you can actually pop in attachments or links or anything like that here too. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this so we can read it a bit better. Let's talk about frequency. So I think that probably the most important step you could take, and if you only do one step for planning, if you only write yourself out a note on a piece of paper and hang it up on your wall, and you've only done one thing for planning, pick a frequency, because what it will do is reduce your stress level. Now, I'm really serious about this because think about this. How does this feel when I say you have to create 30 days worth of content for your business? You're like, oh shit, I have to create 30 days worth of content for my business. Right? That feels so overwhelming. But if you know that you're only going to send out a newsletter once a week, that 30 days worth of content turns into 4 emails. How much more manageable does it feel to say, I have to create 4 emails, right? That's so much more manageable. So much more manageable, right? Even if you want to blog once a month, right? That's only 12 blogs for the next year. That's doable. You got that. 12, that's nothing. So social, even if you only pre-planned out part of your social, and then you left some wiggle room for in the moment content that comes up or content that comes up when inspiration strikes. So even if you planned, let's say 3 posts per week, and that was the extent that you planned, and then you worked on posting every day, right? That's still only 12 posts per month, roughly, right? It changes a little bit, but how much more manageable does it sound to say, I need to create 12 posts this month versus I need to create 30 days worth of posts, or I need to create all of October's posts? That sounds so overwhelming. So frequency is so important. So we're going to start by deciding, what is your goal? How often do you want to post a blog or send out a newsletter or post on social media? So use that goal and map out specific dates that these things will happen. So let me show you what that looks like. If we're going to do a newsletter, right? And I came over here to our newsletter tab, and I want to pop in a date here. Let me look here on my calendar to see what dates we're even looking at. So I like to send out emails on Sundays because Sundays have awesome open rates. So if I'm planning for the whole month of October, that's going to be the 4th, 10/4, 10/11. Then we have the 18th and the 25th. There you go, 4 emails that need to be sent out in October. Now you could do exactly the same thing if you came over here to blogs. Say you wanted to post a blog on Thursday. Thursdays are great for blog posts, if you didn't know. So maybe we want to post it mid-month. The 15th is a Thursday. So if we say we're going to post 10/15, there's our blog post for October. Then you're going to do the same thing on maybe 11:15. You're going to do the same thing on 12:15, right? So now through the end of the year, there you go. You have 3 blog posts to work out. Okay, so we've picked our frequency. You can do the same thing for social that we did here. Now, that overwhelming idea of all the content that you have to create just became way more manageable because you're looking at specific lines right there, 4 things that you have to do. So much more manageable. Anyone with me on that? Throw me a comment. Okay. So the next piece of this is going to be your post type. So a good rule of thumb, and I've done a lot of reading on this, is about 3 to 5 serves for every sell. This is what builds up virtual trust. And I mean, let's face it, virtual trust is what we're all after as business owners who use content marketing, right? We want someone to see what we put out and to have enough trust in us to really believe that we're going to follow through and that we're going to be the person that they could do business with and that they're going to have a great interaction at the end of the day, right? That's what we're all after. So by incorporating this plan of action, you'll never be the account that oversells, right? Which so many people are worried about. Everyone's worried about saying, oh yeah, all I feel like I ever do on my social media or in my newsletter is just tell them to buy from me, right? And that can get exhausting. Or I've actually had the opposite thing happen with a lot of the people that I coach or business owners that I talk to. They'll actually say, well, nobody ever buys from me. And I'll say, okay, great. When was the last time you asked them? And the answer is none. I've never asked them to actually buy anything from me. And you have to think, how overwhelming is being marketed to you online? How many different ads are coming at you from every angle? How many different posts and different things that people are talking about? Sometimes you kind of forget that in order to buy from this company, you have to click their link, or you have to go schedule an appointment with them, or you have to make a reservation at their restaurant, right? Whatever the case is. Sometimes as business owners, we forget the most simple thing, which is just to ask somebody to buy from us. So that would be qualified as a sell. Some people say that a sell is anytime you ask for information. And in social media, I use it that way. So I count a sale for anytime I ask for an email address, anytime I ask them to join my Facebook group, anytime I ask for anything in return from that post, then I count it as a sell post. But here you go. So by post type, we're just going to qualify, is this a serve or is this a sell? And I'm going to use the 3-to-1 method. So if I show you this here, serve, I'm going to serve, serve, and then I'm going to sell. Okay. Now on my blog post, I like to kind of use a combination method to where I really serve in every post, and then I put a call to action at the bottom. Okay, so on social media, when you outline this, which is going to have a lot more dates, and I'm not going to go through that because it can feel overwhelming, you will have serve, sell, or if you wanted to do more than that, you could have 5 serves for every sell, or I have some even nonprofits that we use 10 serves for every sell, depending on what your goal is. So pick your post type and how frequently you want to show up for that sell. Okay, that clear for everybody? I hope so. Perfect. Okay. Internal goal. Let's talk about this for a second. Why the heck is this on this sheet, right? Like, why do we need to write down a goal for the things that we're talking about? But let's face it, we're in business to make a living. Even if you're building a nonprofit, you're really there to get donations, right? Because donations are what allow you to reach more people. And, ultimately, we're here to do business. That's why we're here. And if you set an internal goal for each post, you'll know on the back end, on your side of things, right? why you're showing up to write this content. And I like to do this in the planning stage because it makes it so much easier when you sit down to write the content and you're like, oh yeah, I was going to write this email because I'm actually doing this thing, right? And I'll give you an example. So this helps to make sure that you're checking those necessary boxes and that you're not saying, I just spend my entire life writing content for my business and I don't think that it's actually getting me anywhere, which is not what we want, right? We actually want to feel like we're making progress with our content, not that we're just throwing everything out and seeing what sticks. We want to have a plan, which is what this plan is for, but in a big picture way, we want to actually be meeting some goals on the back end. Not every marketing goal is measurable, right? Not every Facebook follower equates $1,000 sale, right? Sometimes these marketing goals that we have to be tracked in a different way. And this is a great way to look at tracking them. So, copy some formatting here, but let's say the internal goal, for this first email that we're going to send out is, let's say our sale goal is to sell more. I'm going to use a photographer as an example. Sell more newborn photo shoots. So now that we know the goal of our sell, then the internal goal of our serves changes up just a little bit. So if we think about what stresses people out when it comes to getting their baby's pictures taken, right? This is a really big thing. So maybe the internal goal is to prove that we are safety first, right? We're going to take care of your baby. Maybe the internal goal for the next one is showing up is easy. Maybe a guide on how to dress. So the goal really is that we're selling more newborn photo shoots, but we're giving great serve information so that we're actually going to meet that goal at the end of the day. So another serve could be that they, let me think, what to bring. How to make it personal. So these are all things that will change their experience when they hire you to do a newborn photo shoot. You can do the same thing for any industry, right? You just pick what's the thing that you need to sell right now or that you want to sell right now, and then what's the internal goal for how you could show up and serve that's still related to that sell goal. So you can do the exact same thing for a blog post. Here's a couple of examples for internal goals. Anytime you could write your internal goal to sell more of a specific product or service. I offer a lot of services in my business, right? We do everything from branding design to logo design to social media management. I do all those things. But I also know that sometimes making that decision as a business owner is really hard, right? Because it does take money to make those things happen. And while I'm not the cheapest or the most expensive, I kind of fall in a middle ground. I still do very much value when somebody takes money out of their pocket and gives it to me. It means a lot to me when that happens. So if one of my sells was to sell more websites, then my serves needs to really be to prove why that website is valuable to that business owner. And I need to show up in some way to prove that to them. Maybe a internal goal could be to get more email addresses, right? And this is a little bit of a more simple goal, but maybe on a blog post, your call to action at the end is sign up for this thing, give me your email address, sign up for this freebie, sign up for this webinar, sign up for this video, or stay in touch. We're going to let you know when our next events are. We're going to let you know when our new product comes in, whatever the case is for you. But maybe the goal is to get more email addresses so that you can email market well, right? Maybe that's with social media as well. Maybe that post is really saying, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. Or did you miss out on our sale last week that we had that we only sent to our newsletter subscribers? If you did, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. So the internal goal for that specific post would be to get more email addresses. Maybe an internal goal could be drive more traffic to your Facebook group or your page or your Instagram page or your LinkedIn page, right? It could go either direction. But if it was for your Facebook group, this is where I would show up and talk about the things, the value that we have within our group, right? The group we're in right now. So one of the posts that I posted on Instagram yesterday was a sell post, but I was actually asking them to join us in our Facebook group for this challenge. So it was a way for me to grow the Facebook group while at the same time, coming in with great information, because I was saying, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to teach you how to plan your content for your content marketing. So that is the first 3 steps that I'm going to talk to you about today. The only 3 steps I'm going to talk to you about today, because one of the pieces of feedback that I've gotten on past trainings, and I love to listen to feedback, is that sometimes the videos can be overwhelming. So here's what I want you to do. Today, I want you to just think about these 3 things. Your template that you downloaded are going to have all these other things on it, right? But we're going to get through those other things in this week, right? I'm going to teach you all of those other things. Today, I want you to just hone in on these 3. Pick a frequency. Which dates are you going to send out your newsletter or post a blog or work on your social media? And you know what? If thinking about all 3 of those things is overwhelming, pick one. Pick one. Start with one. I put newsletters first, actually, because usually they're the least frequent thing that people do. So usually it's an easy thing for people to start with. Then I want you to pick this post type, either serve or sell, and go ahead and write that down next to that date, just like I did, so that you can say, oh, this one's a serve or this one's a sell. And when you sit down to write it, it's going to be so much easier because you're going to know the direction you need to take with that written content. Then you're going to pick your internal goal. So you're going to say, why am I even showing up and doing this work? Why am I taking time out of my day to write this content or make this graphic or post this thing on social media? It's because of this internal goal. If this doesn't help you to kind of craft better content, it should at least help you to feel good about showing up to do this work, right? Because if you're a goal setter like me, if you know that you're showing up to work towards a goal and that your posts and that your emails and your blog posts are already scoped out working towards that goal, you're going to show up with some gusto. Let me tell you, it's going to be a game changer the way that you even approach that content. So those are the 3 things that I want you to start with right now. And I want you to let all the rest of it float aside, because I know that planning is kind of hard for some people. So we're going to baby step it a bit, and I'm not going to give you too much to do all at one time. So I'm going to turn off my screen share here, but I have a few minutes. I'm going to try to keep these videos fairly short and simple, but I do have a few minutes. If anyone wants to ask questions in the comments, I would be so happy to answer them about this, about anything else that you want to. There's still lawn people and kids outside. It's a really fun Monday over here. I'm going to hang out for a few more minutes here. I really hope that, by the end of this, everyone has really thought about the fact that planning can make such a difference. And for me, it's made an incredible difference in the quality of content that I put out. because I'm so much less stressed out when I'm working on it, that I can actually write better content. I can create better graphics when I'm in the graphics stage. Everything just flows so much better that there's a method behind it, instead of just always having content marketing hanging over my head all the time, where I feel like it's just this, like, it's kind of like the laundry, like you just never can get to the freaking laundry, right? That's how content marketing is the laundry of your business. I'll see if that makes sense later. But it's just the thing that is always hanging over your head. It just never gets fully done. It never goes away. The minute you get it done, there's like a whole new week or month or day worth of content that you have to put together, and it can be very overwhelming. But I really do truly believe that by having a plan, it's going to be so much easier for you guys to tackle. So I hope that that helps a little bit to have even a template to follow. I know when I've downloaded things like that in the past, I've been like, oh yeah, this is great. I usually end up making my own. I usually end up varying a little bit from what I was taught, and making it my own and doing it my own way. But I think someone else showing you their process means a lot, because it means that you kind of get a peek inside their brain a little bit, and you get to see how they would approach it or how they would put it together. So I hope it's really helpful. So that kind of concludes what we're going to talk about today. Those are the three main columns in the spreadsheet. So tomorrow, as a reminder, we're going to talk about brainstorming topics. And this is really fun. I actually have a freebie that's 100 social media post topics. And those, I gear them towards social media, but honestly, they could be turned into a blog post or turned into an email. You could do a lot with it. So we're going to talk about how to do that within the template so that you're still planning, but we're also going to talk about what some of those ideas are and how you could implement them in your business or your industry. So, and then we're going to jot down some notes, because I feel like when you go back and write, that makes it so much easier. So if I could leave you with a bit of a challenge, if you're going to take this and you're going to say, oh, it's only 5:15, I have a little bit more time left in me today, and you're going to work on this tonight. If you get stuck on your internal goals, I would encourage you to post one or two of them in the group so that we can give you feedback on maybe a few other ideas of goals that maybe could help make some of those things possible. Because sometimes when we're deep in the weeds of things, it's really hard to see the big picture, or to see how we could actually make that happen. So let us know, share with us, and tell us what are some of your internal goals that you're writing down on your planning sheet. And then I will see all of you tomorrow at 4:30 Central again, and we're going to go through the next part of the challenge. So I hope everyone has a really awesome evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.